Hello, I'm Robert. People ask me how good stock dividends are. I'm a CPA that has been working with people for the last 30 years and have done a lot of research on this. I want to tell you this blog post is everything on dividends for beginners. This is my voice and let's get into it. People just need to learn some facts. It first depends on the type of stock. You can get blue chip stocks that give dividends, which are good stocks with good companies that have a good financial history. You're getting money from companies that you would never get from regular stocks. It's hard to find the right investment products that give regular passive income dividends. Here's a joke. What is the difference between a pigeon and a stockbroker? A pigeon can still make a deposit on a BMW. Dividend stocks is a good way to diversify your income from the investments. Dividends is a great way when you know that you got that extra income coming in. Picking the right dividend stocks is another problem. You need to do a lot of research. Look at the past financial history of the companies. See how well they have been doing. Just because it has a high dividend yield does not mean it's a great pick. Something might be wrong with the stock. Some people ask me, what is dividend tax on the amounts they receive from stocks? They are taxed two ways. Ordinary dividends are taxed at 22%. That is when you receive it. Qualified dividends are taxed at capital gain rates. In 2019, anybody making below $38,600 in income will not pay tax on the qualified dividends. We will go over dividend accounting. We'll explain that and also dividends by month to month, but here's a story. My neighbor had 100 shares of a certain bank stock during the crash of 2009. The bank went under. You guessed it, no more dividends. You got to diversify your investments. What about dividends reinvested back into the stocks or mutual funds? Dividends reinvested is using those dividends to purchase more stock. You can set it up automatically if you reinvest to stocks that you could avoid commissions. The dividends being reinvested, and you're not going to get notices every month telling you that they've been reinvested. Dividends are taxed when you receive it. They're not deferred. It's like getting extra passive income and doing nothing. You might ask how dividends work on mutual funds. That's a good question, and this is what's going on. Dividends can help reduce the hurt when the mutual fund reduces its value during a stock market lull. When the dividend is received, it helps either the loss or the gain in the market. A good way to help make money. One of the best ways to offset, again, the way the market moves up and down. You could have a lot of money and in the mutual fund get a lot of dividends from it. Here's another one of my jokes. Cash flows is the way that the movement your money makes as it is disappears down the toilet. You could get anywhere from a dividend from 2 to 6% of the value of the mutual fund. You could let off the dividends if you got a lot of money in the mutual fund. When are you entitled to get stock and cash dividends? If you purchase stock on the ex-dividend date, then you'll get a dividend when it's paid. Some stocks pay every 3 months, or some stocks can pay every month or every 6 months. If you hold a stock for 2 days, then you can get a dividend. Another question, what is dividends per share? It is the sum of declared dividends issued by a company for ordinary shares out there. It is the total dividends paid, shares outstanding. It is a very important math figure showing what the companies are paying out in dividends. It shows how profitable a company is over a period of a year. It shows stability and growth. On the other hand, I had a friend who was diversified in 3 blue chip stocks and he was getting $5,000 a month from dividends. What is the dividend growth model? A dividend growth model is a valuation model. It shows the fair value market of stock. It assumes a stable dividend rate. It assumes what the stock is valued at or worth as a result of future dividend payments. Is then discounted back to its present value. The value stocks based on its net present value. Here's another joke. A stockbroker is in the hospital when a nurse comes by in the hospital and starts taking his temperature. When he asks, "How much is it?" she says, "A 102. He says, "When it gets to 103, then sell it." What about dividend growth? Everybody wants their dividends to grow. Simply said, is the percentage rate of growth that stock dividends goes over a period of time. Most companies try to increase the amount of dividends they offer each year. If you have dividend growth, it stays with the investment or the fund or stock. The dividend option that has the dividend paid to you directly, the investors are looking for dividend growth. The size of the dividend growth will outpace inflation, which is important. What about dividends on the balance sheet? Dividends impact cash and stockholders' equity. Understanding the basic accounting of each is also necessary. If a company issues a common stock, then it is shown in the stockholders' equity section. If the company receives dividends from some other company, it is shown in the cash account. If the company declares a dividend to be paid on its stocks, then they set up dividends payable on the liability side, noting there's nothing reported on the income statement. Shareholders' equity will increase the net worth of the company. Dividends will reduce the assets because it's a liability. How about Microsoft dividends? Everybody has heard about Microsoft. It was recently announced that it'll pay 56 cents per share dividend on its shares in 2020. It is a good solid stock with good financials that has been around for a lot of years. If you got a lot of shares of this stock, then you could get good solid passive income. How can you argue with that? Its revenue growth is happening over 10%. It pays out 35% of its annual earnings. A lot of stock people likes its potential over the next 10 years. What about Bank of America dividends? Bank of America is a great financial company. It was reported in June that they were going to do 18 cents a dividend on the stocks. They, of course, pay every quarter. Bank of America has a strong financial background. The return on investment has brought an average of 28% for the last 3 years. The company has lost about 6% over the last few months, but you can think that it will gain in value in 2021. Question is, what about Google if it had dividends? But Google does not give dividends. It did return over 9% of what it made to investors in 2018. It returns 30% of its profits. It uses cash to buy back instead of dividends. They do not have a plan to be given dividends anytime soon. People and investors want them to do it. What about Walmart dividends? Walmart is one of our great American companies. So over the years it's paid about 54% a share on each quarter. Walmart pays preferred dividends too. Sam Walton built an empire. Walmart's revenues were over $5 billion last year and has over 2.2 million employees. Everybody knows about Walmart. The other question is, which stocks are paying the highest dividends? You can look at the internet on the financial sites to find dividend paying stocks. Compare other stocks to the ones that you're figuring on buying. I said before that you're looking at higher paying dividend needs. To be looked at closely, you look at the payout ratio. What companies are returning profit? It's also good to diversify. Here's some companies to look at. Check them out. National Health Investors, LyondellBasell Industries, Stargate Technology, IBM, International Paper, Principal Financial Group, 3M Corporation, Sun Life Financial. I've gone over this blog post, what and where and how about dividends. I've gone over the highest paying dividend companies and a close look at some companies. I've gone over things to measure dividends with. What did you learn about dividend math measures, good companies to invest? What are you going to do in the future? Please comment below. And if you would like my channel and subscribe to it, because I have some great videos coming up in the next few days.